over recent weeks I've talked about movies that you should see. There's one movie that I've watched several times over the last week. I recorded it on my DVR about like a month ago, and I've watched the whole movie about 8 times now, all the way through in the last month and a half. So like once a week I've been watching this movie all the way through, and the movie is The Gumball Rally.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
The Gumball Rally. From Times Square to the Pacific Ocean.
No catalytic converter and no 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
The next time out, I'm going to make sure you get a driver's license.
The drivers come in all shapes, sizes, and sexes. In the Gumball Rally, the cars are the stars. Cobra, Porsche, Ferrari. The Gumball Rally has begun.
The Gumball Rally, I think it was 1976. But the Gumball Rally, I think, is the first time that a movie was made about the cross-country illegal street race. But the Gumball Rally, it's got Raul Julia stars as an Italian. It's got a great cast, some really great acting in it. It's a fun film. The stars of the film, though, are the cars. And there are an array of cars that race cross-country, but of course it's really a battle between a Ferrari Daytona and a Shelby Cobra. On the IMDb page, it says that they had 2 of every car, because you got to have 2 of everything, because one's going to break down. So they had like 2 identical cars of every one. So they apparently had 2 Ferraris and 2 Shelbys. But it's really these 2 cars are going, like, battling neck and neck across the country. But there are others. There's Rolls Royces. But the Shelby, I mean, it's just, but yeah, it's amazing. And the Ferrari, that Daytona, that is a car that is so ahead of its time. I think it was a 71 or 72. But the body shape is very 1980s. It's like that Ferrari. It's like a decade. Body style. It's like a decade ahead of its time. But the amazing thing about the film, okay, this is the reason I'm so into the film, is that the principal stars of the film did their own driving. And this is something that you don't have in modern films. This is one of the reasons that Grand Prix is one of my favorite films. Because in Grand Prix, the principal stars did their own driving at Grand Prix speeds, So, yeah, but the Gumball Rally, it has Raul Julia and the other principal actors. They're driving their cars at incredible speeds through streets. It starts out in New York City, and so they're driving the Ferrari, the Cobra, and the Camaro are all driven through Manhattan streets at like 120 miles an hour. They blocked off the streets. It's like an early Sunday morning. They have there's no traffic. They clearly have blocked off the streets for like many blocks. But you see the Ferrari and the Cobra and the Camaro, and they're literally going through Midtown Manhattan at like 100 miles an hour. You could not make a movie like that today. But in the 70s, you could get a pass on that. And as is pointed out on the IMDb page, one of the cars is a police car. There's one of the teams. This is broken up into teams racing. But yeah, you see shots of they're going through the Holland Tunnel. It's the Holland Tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel. No, it's the Holland Tunnel. It looked like the Holland Tunnel. But they had cleared out one of the tunnels, and they were driving the Ferrari and the Cobra through the tunnel. And the actors are behind it. They're doing like a freaking 100 miles an hour through the tunnel. You can clearly see they're really moving through the tunnel. It's probably the only time that it's ever been done. But I thought, man, what would the experience be like? Yeah, I mean, yes, you've got a camera mounted on the hood of the car, but really, what would the experience have been like to drive a Shelby Cobra at 100 miles an hour through the Holland Tunnel? what would that have been like? But like these actors did that. So the expressions on their faces, the concentration they have, the thrill that they have, it's all real because, I mean, they're really doing it. And, you know, that's the thing that makes this film amazing, you know. And yes, they did have stunt drivers for the long shots and some of the spin outs and stuff like that, because they do have things where they have crashes and stunts and stuff. There's a lot of stunts in the film. Motorcycle stunts, car stunts and stuff. But for all those like close-up shots, yeah, the actors are driving. They have a race through the LA River at incredible speed. Yeah, it's really amazing. And I want, you know, I love those old films, those 60s, 70s racing car films, because they just don't do that today. As much as I love like Ford versus Ferrari and all the fact that they shot so much of that for real and used very little CGI and the fact that the actors are behind the wheel, doesn't change the fact that the actors aren't driving, because they built special cars where stunt drivers were on these gantries. Like, they basically had like a truck where they had the car kind of mounted in it, and then the actual driver is up like on a stand, like on a scaffolding, like up here, and then the actors in the car here. So yeah, the actor's behind a steering wheel and they're really doing 100 miles an hour, but they're not driving the car. The racing car driver is out in front, like above in a gantry, like actually racing the car. It's not like, you know, Matt Damon was actually driving Le Mans at 120 miles an hour on the straight. They just don't allow that anymore. Studios are not willing to put their stars in harm's way like back in the old days. Yes, I mentioned Tom Cruise as the only exception. But yeah, James Garner driving an F1 for real, like no tricks, no other driver over here, you know. Yeah, Raul Julia driving the Ferrari. Yeah, it's all real stuff. So Gumball Rally, it's on my favorites list. It's a lot of fun, and it's great too because you know, here it's a mid-70s film, but in the rally you got a couple of old guys driving a great old Mercedes. You got a couple of women driving a Porsche Carrera. Yeah, it's something for everybody. And every character in the film has their own kind of adventure. Oh, Colleen Camp is in it. Colleen Camp plays a part. She's one of my favorite 70s, 80s actors, Colleen Camp. She's the hidden gem in Gumball Rally. Oh, there are lots of little gems in Gumball. It's just a fun film. They don't make films like Gumball Rally anymore, where nobody dies. It's just fun, a fun film from beginning to end. You have fun. They just don't make films like that anymore. Colleen Camp, yes, Colleen Camp, one of the great sideline actors. She like never had her. Well, she did have starring roles, but she was really just kind of like the go-to. The other actor in the movie would be Colleen Camp. And there are some interesting things about Gumball, some interesting Easter eggs, you know. At the end, towards the end, there's a weird, inexplicable scene where they're all stuck on a California freeway, and the Shelby Cobra is all smashed up, like the front end of the Cobra is totally smashed in. And you're not supposed to notice this, like, why is the front end of the Cobra smashed in? And then all of a sudden they're in the LA River and the Cobra is fine and the bumper's back on. It's like they smashed, they ended up smashing the car at some point. And like, why did they put the smashed car in the scene? It just makes it's like they must have made some change. They must have changed the plot or something. They must have. I thought maybe what it was that they had two Shelbys, and I thought maybe the one that had the front end damage was the camera car that they were just using to mount the camera to for the close-up shots, because you couldn't see the front end when the camera was mounted on it. And then just for some reason, they just had to use that car one day on a long shot, and it's like, oh, no one will notice. It's like all of a sudden they went Ed Wood. You know, it's like, a movie's not about the little details. It's all about the big picture. No one is going to notice that. Oh, I noticed. Well, I enjoyed talking about Gumball Rally. Now you will be streaming it somewhere in the lab. That's where I work. In the lab. Go berserk. In my lab. That's where I work. That's what you're watching. Friend Lab. That's what I'm doing. Working at the bench again.